Hello everyone, welcome to Power Electronics Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to discuss the BJT base drive control techniques. Before we begin, let us understand what is the need for base drive control. From our previous discussion, we have learned that saturating charge reduces the switching speed of the transistors. It is possible to increase the switching speed of the transistor using proper base drive control techniques. Particularly, the base current peaking technique can be used to reduce the turn on time T on as well as the turn off time T off. A typical arrangement for the base current waveform is as shown in the figure 1 here. The base current peaking during the turn on creates low forced beta at the beginning, causing the base current to peak. Once the transistor turns on, the forced beta can be increased to a sufficiently high value to maintain the transistor in quasi-saturation region. A similar procedure can also be used for reducing the turn-off time T-off. Higher the value of the current IB2, smaller will be the storage time. Some of the commonly used techniques for optimizing the base drive of a transistor are turn-on control, turn-off control, proportional base control, and lastly anti-saturation control. Let us now discuss each one of them in much detail. I'll start with the turn-on control. The circuit that is shown in figure 2 here provides base current peaking during both turn on as well as turn off. One of the interesting features of this circuit is that it provides equal turn on and turn off times. Assume that the input voltage VB is increased from 0 to V1 at time t is equals to 0. At this instant, the capacitor is shorted and therefore the base current flows through the capacitor. Therefore, the base current at time t is equals to 0 is limited only by the resistor R1 because capacitor shorts R2. Let us now write an equation for this initial current and let it be denoted as IB0. To write an expression for IB0, I will apply KVL to the base to emitter loop. That will be VB minus of VBE equals to IB into R1. Now VB is equals to V1 and only R1 comes into picture, and therefore by rearranging the KVL equation, I will obtain the initial current, which is IB0, as V1 minus VBE divided by R1. Coming back to the circuit, as the time increases, the capacitor starts to charge and the base current starts to reduce. This is because as the capacitor starts to charge, a voltage starts to build up across the same and the resistance R2 will slowly start coming into picture. So, as time increases, the overall resistance seen by the base of the transistor starts to increase. At the time when the capacitor is completely charged, it acts as a voltage source and therefore the base current is now limited by both R1 and R2. Let the current at this particular time be denoted as IB1, and this IB1 is given by V1 minus VBE divided by R1 plus R2. This can once again be obtained by applying KVL to the base to emitter loop. The voltage across the capacitor when it is fully charged is given by Vc is approximately equal to V1 multiplied by R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Also, the time taken by the capacitor to charge from 0 to Vc, which is the final capacitor voltage, is given by tau 1 equals R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2 multiplied by C1. Coming back to the circuit diagram, I said that this circuit can also be used for turn-off control. Let us understand how that works. When the input voltage is changed from plus V1 volt to minus V2 volt, the capacitor voltage is now added to the input voltage VB, which is equals to minus V2, and therefore a larger negative voltage is seen across the base of the transistor. This causes the base current to peak during the turn off as well, as shown in the diagram here. In the meantime, the capacitor will also discharge from the previous value of V2 through the R2 and charges to the current applied input voltage, which is minus V2 volts. The discharging time constant of the capacitor can be now given as tau 2 equals R2 multiplied by C1. To allow the capacitor to charge and discharge sufficiently, the widths of the base pulse during the turn on and turn off must be greater than tau 1 and tau 2 respectively. Remember that this circuit provides equal turn on and turn off times. On the other hand, if you want different turn on and turn off times, then you will use a circuit as shown in the figure here. The circuit construction is very similar to what we have for the turn on control, except that we have more components added. The diode D1 is a very important component here because it isolates the turn on time and turn off time. Looking into the diagram for the input applied voltage VB, when the voltage is positive, the diode D1 is turned on and all of these components will come into picture to estimate the turn on time. On the other hand, when the voltage is changed to minus V2, which is during the turn off, the diode D1 is reverse biased and only these components will come into picture for computing the turn off time. Therefore, you will obtain different turn on and turn off times using the circuit modification as shown in the diagram here.